On the morning of March 12, 2007, Karl Hoerig, a major in the Air Force, did not go to work in Newtown Falls, Ohio. After an extended absence, police officers went to his home and found him dead. It was a shocking and horrifying discovery, as his friend Larry Diamond stated. According to the police report, Karl had been shot 3 times, and his body was found wrapped in cloth. However, something was missing from the house, specifically someone, his wife. Who killed Karl in his home? Was it his wife? If not, where did she go, and why didn't she call the police? After disappearing from the house, Claudia became the prime suspect in the case. Investigators discovered that Claudia had not only left Ohio but had also left the country, returning to her home country of Brazil. Krista Briggs, Karl's friend, said that when she heard about his murder, she immediately thought Claudia was responsible. Krista shared an alarming story about the couple's relationship, mentioning that at a party, Claudia had once said, "If Karl ever leaves me, I will kill him." Authorities also learned that Claudia had purchased a gun a few days before Karl's murder, using funds from her bank account, and then left quickly. Claudia's departure to Brazil presented a significant challenge for investigators and Karl's family, as Brazil is known for its reluctance to extradite its citizens to face charges in the United States. Karl's friends started speaking to the media to generate more public interest in the case and approached members of the U.S. Congress to apply pressure. Larry Diamond, Karl's friend, created a Facebook page demanding justice in Claudia's trial, which gained followers from around the world, including Brazil. Unfortunately, the battle to extradite Claudia and bring her to trial in the U.S. was expected to take years. In a surprising turn in 2013, Brazil revoked Claudia's citizenship, and she was officially extradited to the U.S. in 2018. Interestingly, Claudia had renounced her Brazilian citizenship to obtain U.S. citizenship. This was a joyous moment for Karl's friend Larry, as the case could finally proceed. During the investigation, Claudia refused legal representation, claiming she had nothing to hide and thus didn't need a lawyer. She believed she could outsmart everyone and had had a long time to prepare answers to potential questions. Initially, she spoke about meeting Karl online and their marriage in 2005, describing their relationship from her perspective as bizarre. According to her, Karl desired a wild lifestyle, and she revealed disturbing details about his behavior. Claudia alleged that he had a penchant for deviant relationships with both men and women, and he would ask her to pretend to be dead during their encounters. He had a box containing tools to torture her, including ropes and a whip, and forced her to walk around the house naked in high heels, even in extremely cold weather. She also blamed Karl for her 2 miscarriages and claimed that after becoming pregnant a 3rd time, she couldn't bear the thought of another miscarriage and decided to commit suicide. Catherine Smith, a plaintiff's attorney, commented on Claudia's statements, suggesting that when defendants lie, they often exaggerate. Claudia wanted to portray herself as a victim living with a madman. Even her claim of suffering miscarriages seemed dubious, as there were no medical reports to support it. Psychiatrist Catherine Coleman noted that Claudia's behavior and statements showed traits of a personality disorder, with frequent talk of suicide and threats of attempting it. This raises the important question: was Claudia genuinely suicidal, or was she capable of committing murder? Claudia denied ever thinking of killing anyone, insisting she only thought of ending her own life due to Karl's verbal and physical abuse. She claimed that she considered shooting herself but feared disfiguring her face rather than dying, as had happened to others. Claudia went to a gun shop and bought a small gun, planning to shoot herself in the head directly. She even designed a strange homemade device to ensure the gun would accurately target her head. Attorney Catherine Smith found Claudia's story hard to believe, noting that no one attempting suicide would choose a gun with a laser sight or build a homemade precision device to aim the gun at their head. Psychiatrist Catherine Coleman suggested that the behavior described by Claudia could be seen in cases of battered woman syndrome, a form of PTSD, where the individual feels trapped in a dangerous situation but cannot leave. However, this did not fit Claudia's case, as she was often alone and could have left any time but chose not to. Returning to the day of the shooting and Karl's death, Claudia's account stated that she was pregnant, and a heated argument ensued between her and Karl about whether to keep the baby. At one point, he decided to take a shower. At that moment, she decided to act. Claudia says, "I wanted to do something shocking to him, but when he came out of the shower and saw me pointing a gun at my head, he wasn't bothered or moved at all. He stared at me for a bit and said, 'That's a very good idea, but go to the basement so the blood doesn't get on my paintings.' I got very angry then. If he hadn't said that, I would be dead now and he would be alive. I pointed the gun at him and killed him. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision because of what he said. It wasn't premeditated." Lawyer Catherine Smith argues, "This couldn't have happened that way. It was planned and not a spontaneous act. It was a cold-blooded murder committed deliberately." According to psychologist Catherine Coleman, the act of killing and taking another person's life involves many steps and a loss of feeling, which is not normal for most people. I don't believe she did it spontaneously. What Claudia did afterward rules out the idea that she killed her husband impulsively while attempting suicide. She says she was going to shoot herself and pulled the trigger, but the gun didn't fire because it was empty. Then she called her family, who convinced her to flee because Ohio has the death penalty. She went to the bank to withdraw $1,300, but thought taking out the full amount would confirm suspicions she killed her husband, so she only withdrew $1,000. Before leaving, she returned home and covered her husband's body so no one could see it from the window, giving her time to get to the airport and leave. Lawyer Catherine Smith points out that all of this happened in quick succession after the crime, which indicates she was trying to escape, and escape itself is evidence of guilt. If someone committed a crime out of anger, they would feel guilt for their actions after years of abuse and mistreatment. According to Claudia's statements, she didn't necessarily have to flee. Psychologist Catherine Coleman continues, "Claudia is highly manipulative with her statements and wants to control the situation. Using her charm and lies, she hopes to influence people and escape the consequences of her actions." When the investigator asked her what she expected her punishment to be, she replied, "I don't really care. I'm already dead inside." For law enforcement, Claudia wasn't an abused wife who killed her husband in a fit of rage. It was a clear-cut case. But what about the court? During her trial in 2019, the prosecutor tried to prove she planned her husband's murder, while the defense argued she shot him impulsively without prior planning, driven by years of mistreatment and Karl's indifference to her life. When asked again during the trial if she ever thought of killing Karl, she replied, "Absolutely not. Not for a second." After being confronted by the prosecutor in court, she admitted she didn't kill Karl with just one shot but fired 3 times, even after he was already dead from the first shot, to make sure he was dead. The angles of the shots were not random but appeared deliberate and planned. She was accused of resenting Karl because she blamed him for her 2 miscarriages and believed he wanted her to have another abortion, giving her a strong motive for revenge. Unlike her composed and organized demeanor during the investigations, Claudia appeared upset and angry in court, as if she knew it was over and she had been exposed. Claudia Hoerig, the woman who killed her husband Karl and fled to her country for over 10 years, was finally caught, tried, and convicted of murder. As she was being escorted from the courtroom to prison, the court heard a statement about how Karl's family was affected by his death, how they missed him, and how Claudia's escape to Brazil had added to their pain. They were convinced she was the killer and could not bring her to justice for years. In Brazil, she started a new life, opened a business, and remarried as if nothing had happened. Claudia's act of killing and then starting a new life shows her psychological ability to separate her feelings, indicating she is a cold-blooded murderer. The judge sentenced Claudia to 54 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 8 years. Even after her sentencing, Claudia still maintained a victim mentality and filed a complaint with the court, claiming she was wronged and dissatisfied with her defense team, despite previously saying she didn't care about her punishment because she felt dead inside. Claudia's request was denied because the court found the evidence against her solid and the sentence fair. Perhaps the only truthful words Claudia ever said were, "I am dead inside. Now?" Do you, dear viewer, believe Claudia was wronged and deserves a retrial, or is her punishment justified? We look forward to your opinions and comments below. Don't forget to support us by liking and subscribing to our channel.